Hi everyone, I hope you're having a great weekend. I'm speaking to you from Niagara Falls, and I noticed on looking at the exit tickets today from this past week, there's still a bit of confusion about the fence diagrams that you're needing to do for your Lab 3, which is due this coming week. So I thought I'd put together some slides that I'll show you now about a bit more detail about what the expectations are for the fence diagram and a bit of clarification on what it is. So for this fence diagram for Lab 3 of surficial sediments at the Bracken property, you need to make sure to put your lab section, either Wednesday or Thursday, your names, your group numbers, and your supergroup number on your submission. The fence diagram is plotted on the topographic profile of the ground surface, and this is available as a PDF file on OnQ that you can use as the base for your fence diagram for Lab 3. There's the vertical axis, which is elevation, and the horizontal axis, which shows you that topographic profile. The vertical axis is in meters, and you can see the scale there. And the numbers 120, 125, and 130 is in terms of meters above sea level or elevation. The horizontal scale is labeled by the station numbers we used in the field. So starting from 0 plus 0, 0 through to, on your fence diagram, it will be 0 plus 7, 0. And this horizontal scale is in meters as well. And for example, station 0 plus 0, 0 to 0 plus 1, 0 is a distance of 10 meters. And so when you're drawing your fence diagram, it does need to be to scale in both directions. So once you have this set up, you can first of all plot the core log from the borehole that you spent the first part of the lab on. And you draw on each layer as at the exact locations of the depths that you found each layer. And you can see in this example that I've made up for this, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different units that have been identified on this core log and are plotted on the fence diagram. Now, you'll see as well that I've exaggerated the width of the borehole a little bit on this fence diagram compared to what it is with respect to the rest of that horizontal scale. And that is okay to do. It helps clarify it helps show the borehole more clearly, and so you should do the same. The legend is also very important to include on the fence diagram. You'll see the map or fence diagram symbol in terms of its color is shown as well as the name of the unit. So for example, the topsoil at the top, there are the darker color that's used in the borehole itself, and there's a lighter version of that color presented as well. And you'll see what that means in just a moment. So in this example that I have totally made up, the units are topsoil, sand, gravelly sand, silt, and silty sand. You'll notice it's important that the legend order corresponds to the order of units in the fence diagram, such that the youngest unit, or the topmost unit, is at the top of the legend, and the oldest unit, or the lowest unit in terms of elevation, is at the bottom. So now that you've got this set up, you can plot the other boreholes from the stations that you observed during the walkover part of the lab. So the Wednesday lab section on your fence diagrams, we should see boreholes at 0 plus 0, 0, 0 plus 1, 0, 0 plus 2, 0, and so on for all of the stations that were present on your lab day. Similarly, for the Thursday lab section, the station numbers go from 0 plus 0, 5 to 0 plus 1, 5, 0 plus 2, 5, etc. through to the end. So now that we've got all of our data plotted on this fence diagram, we can start to fill it in. And this is really where we get into interpretations. So the first part of the interpretations is to try to correlate where the units align between the boreholes. And so I've used this dashed line to connect the contact between the topsoil and the sand layer, which is quite consistent between all 5 of these boreholes in this example. You do the same thing working your way down. I like to go from top down. So you can see I've separated the sand and the gravelly sand layers with another dashed contact line. And the bottom of the gravelly sand layer is also in this dashed line. You'll notice, however, in this example, we have a difference in contact in boreholes 0 plus 0, 0 and 0 plus 0, 5. The gravelly sand contacts the silty sand, but in boreholes 0 plus 1, 0, 0 plus 1, 5, and 0 plus 2, 0, the gravelly sand actually contacts a silt unit, which isn't present everywhere. So what do we do about this? How do we deal with this difference between these 5 boreholes? A reasonable interpretation, particularly in glacial sediment deposit terrain, is that units can pinch in and pinch out. And so in this example here, my interpretation is that the silt layer is present in the boreholes on the right, and then it pinches out somewhere between 0 plus 0.5 and 0 plus 1, 0. And so it's not present to the boreholes on the left. Now that we've sketched in our contacts between these units, really the last step is to color them in. And this is where the lighter shades of the colors come into play that are shown on the legend. So in between the boreholes, you want to very lightly shade in the same color of, or the same color of that layer that corresponds to the units that appear in each of the boreholes. So you can see I've filled in the colors, and as this is getting painted in, now when we're done, we really start to be able to visualize what the vertical section into the ground looks like along our grid line that we used in the field. So this is really what the final fence diagram should look like. It presents the data that you collected in the boreholes, as well as your interpretation of what happens to the units in terms of their thicknesses between each of the boreholes. And this is the visual representation of your fence diagram and your interpretation of the surficial geology. For one note, particularly for this fence diagram, for this lab, you must draw this by hand, unlike what I've done in PowerPoint. You must do it on graph paper and do it to scale, please. For the accompanying report, the one-page report, that is where you can put into words your field data and your interpretations about that are shown visually in this fence diagram. So there we have it. I hope this explanation is helpful for you to complete Lab 3. And as always, please let me know if you have any questions. As I'll be away at the conference, I'll try my best to get back to you. If you have an urgent question, I'm sure one of the TAs would also be more than happy to help. All right, good luck everybody, and see you later.